Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm here in Bluff, Missouri, and I've got a pretty neat stop, pretty good location. It's got a lot of small town elements here with a little bit of the city vibe, kind of like probably Effingham, and a pretty good motel room last night. Slept well. Didn't sleep particularly long, but I slept well and I was ready to go. Check this. Check it out. Kind of slow, kind of dead looking, but kind of historic. But coming up here is something real interesting that I saw when I was pulling up. I think I figured out that I cannot tilt the camera, so like I said, I'm getting better. I will get better at making these videos. Got some pretty neat artwork here. Not really. Not a lot. Got some good canvas here. I don't know. I think they quit. They got frustrated and quit. Skate zone or strike zone. But speaking, this here is the skate zone. What's going on? Oh yeah. Looks like, unfortunately, a lot of businesses like this open. There's a skate park in here, huh? Man, I would have loved to. There's some boards. Huh. There's the old display case where you had your wheels and your bearings and your hardware. Oh man, check out, there's a wall in there. Lit up. Local art. See, I think this is what every small city needs. You know, when I say small city, a small town is like, 100 people. But I consider 10 to 15,000 to be a small city. I don't know. 50,000 is a city, maybe. Or a big town, I don't know. Champaign-Urbana, 100,000, is that a city or a big town or a small city? But I don't know. So anyway, I got back to charging. I got down to under 100 miles, about 85 miles, and I think we're going to charge up to about 80%. So we probably have about 40 minutes left, and I think that will get us to Conway, Arkansas. Not very much left. I started charging at 29%. Now we're at 36. So to Conway, Arkansas, then I'm going to read some books while I charge. Alright, we just got about 10 minutes or so. We're at 73%. We got about 200 miles on the car. And just did a little bit of stretching after reading. I got the book a novel based on the movie Psycho. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. It is a novel called Psycho, which the movie, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, was based on. Alfred Hitch, as he was called, did not write it, he just directed the movie, which the book only came out about a year before the movie. Looking down around, this is a neat little town. I'm going to have to take my time when I leave it. Really interesting read. You gain a lot, I think. If you like a movie, chances are there's a novelization, if not a downright novel. You know, the novelization is that the book comes out after the movie, and it's based on the movie, in which there may or may not be anything added, you know, anything of interest that you didn't know, other than a little bit more description of some of the scenery and scene and scenario. This has got a lot. For one, the character of Norman Bates is quite different. He's, I think, significantly older. He is 40 years old in the novel, whereas in the original movie he was probably about 25, 30 at the most. And he's overweight, and which he was not at all. If he was underweight, perhaps, in the film. And he was bald. He was described as having not a lot of hair, very thinning hair, it said, which was interesting. You know, I can see why they did that. You know, not an important aspect, I suppose, but that was described very early on in the book. So, yeah, I can see why that was changed for the movie. And then what was interesting was the Marion Crane. Well, she's just Mary Crane in the book. It goes into why she stole the money more. You get extras, and it goes on, and it's very, very good at telling you why she's so desperate. Goes into more of Sam's problems. You know, he inherited the business and a big debt that he didn't know he was going to get. And then it's got the Cassidy character in the book, and then it talks about her boss, the older guy who's he was in some Twilight Zone episodes. He played the same character in like one or two Twilight Zone episodes. Just kind of a professional dick. And it went on to say that his only purpose was to get in the way of buyer and seller, and and pinch a little bit of the profit. That was his only purpose in life, and he was a rich man. And Cassidy was more, I mean, they really, the movie did a good job at portraying him as an arrogant prick, scumbag kind of. But it went a little bit further. He had tried to rent the body of Marion Crane as described, and you know, he did so by just slapping down a $100 bill for the whole weekend. So it infuriated her. And then she said the world was belonged to assholes like these guys. You know, Cassidy gave her a choice: $100 or $40,000. I'm gonna go with the latter. So she did a good job, or the book does a really good job at getting you to understand her desperation, or her reasoning about taking the $40,000. It wasn't just, hey, I don't like this guy, I'm going to rip him off. It went a lot deeper than that. And so that's why I like reading. So, like, if you got a favorite movie, you got to check out the book. Plus, the more we read, I think the smarter we are. People don't read. And the world I think, is reflective about the majority of people. You know, it does belong to pricks like Cassidy and the Mr. Professional Asshole. And that sucks. I'm out. Later.